I know, it feels a bit strange, right, to see these two motorcycles in the same frame. But there's no denying it, Bajaj's new Dominar 400 is looking to get a foothold in a segment that's dominated by Royal Enfield's Thunderbird. And the 350 is the go-to motorcycle for most people who are looking for adventures on weekends, yet want something friendly, economical for everyday use. So the question is, under that brash exterior, is there a motorcycle that can be calm and composed? We've got lots more questions. Let's get them answered. Ambition. The Dominar 400 has lots of it. And it is bold as well. In the dead of the night, it dazzles. The darkness is ripped apart by the all-LED headlamp. And this first creature in this new family from Bajaj is muscular and chiseled, and it's funky and modern too. The Thunderbird 350 from Royal Enfield is from a time when motorcycles were made of metal. The Thunderbird 350 is a classic. It is almost timeless and fits into our world today. But the future has a habit of taking over the present and relegating it into the past. So which one looks better? You take your pick. But here's what we think. Bajaj's Dominar 400 is striking, it's modern, but it's not special enough. Bajaj has played it safe with this motorcycle. Look at the colors on offer. The white, that's the most exciting one they have. It needed to feel a bit more special. They could have given it a bit of chrome to give it that connect with the cruiser, the touring market. But as of now, it does miss out on that sense of occasion. And that's where the Thunderbird 350 just feels so special. Whether it's passing you by or when you're in the saddle, it just sets the tone. But what are these motorcycles like to ride out on the road? Which one is quicker? Which one feels calmer? Let's find out. The 346cc air-cooled engine on the Thunderbird feels archaic. Its power and torque figures are quite tame as well. The Dominar uses modern technology like a spear. It uses the force of liquid cooling, fuel injection and triple spark plugs to thrust power into the rider's hands. But just having 35 horsepower to the RE's 20 doesn't count for much when talking about touring and laid-back riding. However, laid-back motorcycling needs more than just laid-back engines. This has to be said. If you're looking for the big torquey experience expected of a big single-cylinder engine, the 350 doesn't quite cut it. If you head out to a hilly road, you'll understand why. It starts feeling strained fairly quickly. This is best enjoyed in the city or out on flat, open highways. Of course, nonetheless, it does have that typical Royal Enfield experience of having that thump and the character that you expect in a laid-back manner. Whether city or highway, the Thunderbird decides the pace, and you have to learn to settle into the sweet spot. And when you do, the experience is beautiful. But then if you choose to rush it, you will wish you hadn't. Now coming to the Dominar 400. First, the downsides. The fueling. Between 3 and 5,000 RPM, it chops power quite abruptly, which is to say, even though you have a constant throttle applied, the power gets cut, so you end up feeling this jhatka sensation. That aside, the vibrations. Now the motorcycle we rode the first time around for the first ride story, it had a fair amount of vibes. This one is much better. You still feel the vibes, but they're not bothersome anymore. And on this front, in this company, the Dominar gets off very easy. Now, finally coming to the engine, pleasant surprise, this is genuinely easy to ride in the city. I mean, it's calm and easy going there, and yet it's smooth on the highways on the safe side of 100. And that's really interesting because
this is related to the 390 Duke from KTM, which is a frenzied motorcycle, difficult to ride at low speeds in the city. So all in all, the Dominar 400 is bringing its own character in the way it performs. But how is it in terms of the experience of sitting on the highway? Let's take a look.
We did all kinds of paces, surfaces and places. Again, the Dominar has the more modern hardware, a perimeter frame with a pressed steel swing arm, the better brakes and ABS. And it also has the tires that you need for, well, this. And on the go, you wouldn't think that this Bajaj weighs a massive 182 kilograms. Yes, the Royal Enfield is even heavier, but the Thunderbird is also a nice bike to steer. But its forte isn't corners. With its simpler suspension and chassis, it tackles highways and broken roads admirably.
So this bit was a bit predictable. The Thunderbird 350, because of the way you sit on it, which is nice and easy, its suspension setup, which is just that little bit better in the way it deals with bumps, is the nicer motorcycle when you want to just sit back and take it easy. But when you want to attack a set of corners, the Dominar 400 is the one that really shines. The way it turns in, its confidence in corners, very impressive. It's not really as quick as RS200 in the way it tips into corners, but on the whole, I'd still say the Dominar 400 is the most engaging motorcycle that's offered from Bajaj today. We have more things to look into, such as how practical are these motorcycles even for the daily usage. Let's look into those details now.
So, if you decide to go touring, the Thunderbird's 19-litre fuel tank is sure to be a big boon. The Dominar only has 13 litres for fuel. The Royal Enfield also looks quite comfy with luggage strapped on. The Dominar looks less at ease, but it still manages to handle quite a bit. The Bajaj's 800mm seat height isn't very tall, but the flared seat makes the reach to the ground a little longer. The Thunderbird seat is much lower and makes it easy to manage even for shorter riders. It also has the tighter turning radius. But when it comes to overall build quality, it's the Bajaj that strides ahead. So even though it is just a bit more expensive, it's the Dominar 400 that makes a lot more sense. But as we know, motorcycles are a matter of the heart.
So after spending time with these two motorcycles, picking one over the other doesn't get easier, it gets more difficult. And that isn't because things are so close between them, it's because they're just so different. Royal Enfield's Thunderbird 350, well, it's honestly a bit of a disappointment because of the ride experience. Yes, it handles quite nicely, it rides quite well, but the engine just lets the whole package down. It just doesn't have the punch, doesn't feel refined, and well, build quality could certainly be a lot better. And that's where the Dominar 400 comes in and shines, because as a motorcycle, it's really quite excellent. Refinement levels are higher than what we've seen on Bajaj's before. It's got a good amount of punch. It does feel quite refined. And on top of that, this is a motorcycle that personally for me was exciting because it was a joy to use when you wanted to ride calmly. And that is a distinct flavor, a great flavor to have for a motorcycle that you intend to spend long hours in the saddle of. But what the Dominar 400 misses out on is that richness of character that the Thunderbird 350 does just so well. But on the whole, when you look at it as a package, as a motorcycle, there's nothing to stop you from covering long distances in the saddle of the Dominar 400. So if you're looking to ride, really, the Dominar 400 makes for a great choice.